second lecture, lecture 2, which is characteristics of the scientific research. In this, we are going to discuss what are the characters or what are the characteristics of a scientific research. The scientific research follows some criterion. It's not like the general sense knowledge that anything would go, not that, but rather it follows some criterion, some systematic requirement. It is not free for all, but it follows certain rules and regulations. And these are called the characteristics of the scientific research. What are those? That we are going to discuss one by one. Number one is the verifiable evidence. The scientific knowledge has to be verified empirically. It's not that somebody claims anything and that is going to be accepted. It has to be verified. The scientific knowledge is based on large body of evidence which has been collected by repeated experiments and observations. So, the scientific research is based on explanatory principles. That is, the truth can be, the claim can be tested, checked by independent observers, by anybody who has means to test it, who has to check it, can check it. It is open for everybody. So, the scientific research requires large body of evidence collected by repeated observations and repeated experiments. And this has to be open to be verified. See, suppose we give an example of invention of a medicine for the diabetes. We have, somebody claims that he has invented a diabetic medicine. Many people invent and claim. But this has to be checked by body of investigators. A scientific investigation has to be done and documented on this, so that the evidence for the experiment is available. And this can be repeated on another set of diabetic people. If it is not so, then we would say that the variable evidence are not available. We must remember that when COVID took place, then there were experiments for the vaccination, and for the COVID vaccination which was not available. So I remember that those days, even in Aligarh Muslim University, the Jawaharlal Nehru Medical College professors, they were also part of this vaccination search program. So they collected sample from thousands of people to study this vaccination. And not only here, in many places in India, this experiment was repeated. And then after the collection of facts and then testing and then the evidences, this COVID vaccination was created. So the verifiable evidence is must for a scientific research. Then the second thing is a requirement for the criteria of the scientific research is accuracy. What is accuracy? To report phenomenon, what is it? Neither to exaggerate and nor to belittle it. We have to report things or phenomenon as they exist. We do not have to fantasize. The researcher does not have to fantasize it. The researcher does not have to in fact exaggerate it or belittle it. The accuracy requires the phenomenon is reported as it is. So, for example, if suppose the invention of medicine for diabetes or a study for the rate of unemployment in the country or finding the causes of the crime or finding the increasing rate of divorce in the society or studying the declining market share of a brand of particular company. If we are studying all this, we must be very accurate, or any phenomenon, not only these. So, I have given these only examples. So, we have to report what is the unemployment level, neither increase nor decrease. We have to report the exact crime level, neither to increase nor to decrease. We have to increase the rate of divorce, neither to exaggerate nor to belittle it. We have to accurately report the declining share of, say, a brand of milk, say a brand of butter in the market, neither to increase it nor to decrease it, but to simply report what is the correct thing. That is the accuracy. That was the second criterion. The next characteristic is the precision. What is precision? That we have to know. Precision implies providing the exact number of measurement, exact number of happenings. In research, we cannot say large number of people were interviewed. No, we have to say 500 people were sent questionnaires and 400 responded to it, and this study is based on the 400 responses that came out that were received after the dispatch of or the sending of the 500 questionnaires to the respondents. So, this study is based on 400 respondents. Not that large number of people were interviewed or were questioned or their responses were taken. So, we cannot say that most of the people are supporting the economic reforms. We have to say 75% people were found to be supporting the economic reforms. That is what we have to, that is what is precision. A substantial number of students left school before completion of their degree, of their certificates. 25% of the students left their school before completion of their degree or their certificate from the school. That we have to, that is the precision. Thousands of patients were served by AMU last year. That is not a scientific statement. The scientific statement would clearly say that 3,65,000 patients attended AMU Medical College's hospital in 2023. That is the scientific way. That is the precision. Not that a large number of politicians to be prime minister. No, we would say 55% people, voters are inclined to see Mr. Such and Such as Prime Minister of India. That is the precision. Then comes the systemization. What is systemization? Systemization is meant to find all relevant data, and not only relevant data but through the relevant scientific process. We have to collect the data through the scientific process. We have to document it through the scientific process. We cannot do it in haphazard way, or the way we simply want to do. No, it would be done through the scientific way. In the due course, we would be discussing this also. How to collect data scientifically. That would take a few classes. If the data has been systematically collected, scientifically collected, which is called systemization, then only the conclusion that we draw from analyzing the data can be reliable. Otherwise, it cannot be reliable. So, the data cannot be collected casually. It has to be systemized. Its collection has to be systemized. Again, if we want reliable judgment, we have to do this. Systemize the collection of the data. Then the fifth criteria is the objectivity. Objectivity is must in scientific knowledge, search for scientific knowledge. That is also one of the very important criteria of the scientific knowledge. What is objectivity? Objectivity is that all the researchers and all those who are in the process of research, they have to be unbiased, unprejudiced, and no vested interest. They have to be free, completely free of biasness. They have to be completely free of prejudices. They have to be completely free of vested interest. That is objectivity. This is why the scientific research has to be completely uninfluenced by researchers' value beliefs, preferences, values, culture or anything. It has to be made as far as possible. Because if the researcher does not detach himself from his emotions, from his prejudices, from his needs and requirements, and becomes totally, completely neutral observer, then only he can study the phenomena in a scientific way. Otherwise, his or her prejudice, his or her thinking, emotions, they would influence the study of the phenomena. So, this is utmost requirement. We have to be very much careful about such things. We do not have to be biased. What is a bias? It is a reliable or deliberate or undeliberate way to look at the facts through own wishes, through own perceptions, through own interests. We have to shed all this. The researcher has to shed all this. We have to simply shed all this. Suppose I am a teacher, or a teacher is appointed for an inquiry into some non-teaching. He do not have to carry any prejudice or any of his experiences past or any his conceptions to this inquiry. He has to be without any prejudice, without any his emotions, without his own ideas. No. He has to be neutral on all these aspects. He has to be completely unbiased, rather objective in this. This is a very sensitive thing the researcher must follow. If he does not follow, then it would impact our finding, our prejudices, our emotions, are going to influence the research, the findings of the research. We have to be conscious, very much conscious of this. We should not permit to enter bias into our studies. Then, yet another important thing, that criteria is the recording. That every scientific step has to be recorded in black and white. It means that recording is also very must. The scientific researches are not based on memories, are not based on recalled facts. The documentation is very necessary, and that documentation has to be also scientific documentation. When we discuss the collection of the data, especially in observation method, we will discuss this. So, if we depend on memories, we would lose it half or full, maybe full also, or half also, and mix some other thing into it. So, the recording of the data is also an important criterion of the scientific research. Then the controlling conditions. The seventh criteria, a very important, all criteria are rather important, are the controlling conditions. Rather, the conditions have to be created in which the variables, one independent variable is to vary, whereas others independent variable are to be controlled to study the phenomena. The controlling conditions are must for all the scientific study, not only in the physical sciences, life sciences, medical sciences. It is very easy. They have laboratories where they can control the other factors, make controlling conditions available. In agriculture sciences also, although they experiment in the field, but also they have controlling conditions. They know how to control make the control. So, in sciences it is very easy. However, in social sciences also controlling conditions are applied. Like we have to study the behavior of students in classroom, then also we can create the controlling conditions, but of course maybe a social scientist is not able to control all the independent factors, but he would be able to control many factors. Now, controlling conditions are increasingly being used in scientific studies. In poverty studies, it is very easy. In development studies, it is very easy. In policy studies, it is very easy. We are in social sciences also. Now, the researchers are introducing the controlling conditions. So, for example, suppose we have to study the impact of introduction of the vehicles on the women voters. Well, how does it make difference if we introduce vehicle for the women voters? We have to study that. We choose booth, say 2 booths. One booth is in controlling condition, in which the condition is normal. We do not introduce the vehicles. In another booth, we introduce the vehicle. What does it mean? That a vehicle is available there to bring the ladies from their homes and to bring them to their booths, and so that they cast their votes and then drop them back to their homes. and then we study the difference. So, we had controlling conditions. In one of the booths, we kept the normal condition, it was controlled, whereas in another booth, we introduce the vehicles along with other normal conditions. The normal conditions which were available in booth B are available in booth A also, where the vehicles have been introduced for bringing the ladies from their homes to the booths for polling and then drop them back to their homes. Now, we can study the difference of this introduction of this policy of vehicles, that is called the treatment in scientific terms, or in policy intervention in social scientific terms. So, now we can study the difference between these two booths. We have studied by creating the controlling conditions. So, for the medical science, for the physical science, for the pure science, they have the labs, they have the agriculture fields. For them it is very easy, but even for social science also, the social scientists are now inventing ways to create controlling conditions to study their phenomenon. So, controlling condition is also a very important criterion of the scientific research. Then we come to the final criterion, and the training of investigators. In scientific research, even surveyors, not researchers, even surveyors who collect the data, they are also to be trained. They are all trained, because if they are not trained, then they will lose the data, they will mix the data, they will do something wrong with the data, if not deliberately, then undeliberately. So, the training is very important exercise in scientific research. This is why we find that from the very in science, from the very schools, we have the training to the students for doing experiments, for recording the data, and for doing all these things, following all these criteria. They are given proper training. In social science also, the observers or surveyors and researchers, all level of people involved in the researches, they are in fact trained for this. If they do not have training, then certainly the results that they gather is not going to be correct, or is not going to be. So, to have the study perfect and the scientific research to be accurate, to be true, we have to, the training is must for those involved in the research. Thank you very much. Then we would meet in the next lecture. Thank you very much.